Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Michael Hunter advances to 21-1 following a fourth round stoppage of Mike Wilson, and this fight was on a Triller card that also had an entertainment portion with the Dipset versus the Locks. So it was an interesting sort of mishmash of entertainment and boxing. I don't know how all the pieces fit. I'm probably not the target demographic, but whatever the case, I mean, I'll just focus on Michael Hunter in this fight with Mike Wilson, the 38-year-old former cruiserweight who has been inactive for a couple of years, somehow got ranked to fight Michael Hunter, obviously for this fight, a WBA eliminator of some description. Unclear really what for, but Michael Hunter, no worries, no issues in this fight. Basically pieced up Mike Wilson over 4 rounds, ultimately stops him. The referee didn't like what he saw after Hunter had dropped him. It was one of those sort of situations where he dropped him with a massive right hand, and it looked like that was going to be the highlight reel knockout, except Wilson got up. The referee sort of went through the count, had a look at Wilson, who wasn't really sort of responding too well. He looked sort of a bit, out of it. Referee waves it off. But this was a case, it was a fight basically in control from the outset from Hunter, who was just coming forward. He had no regard for whatever was coming back from Mike Wilson and just let his hands go. But there was some nice work to the body. Certainly Mike Wilson soft around the middle, and Michael Hunter was exploiting that from the get-go. Right hands to the body, and you could see that was drawing through the different rounds, visible reactions from Mike Wilson. Michael Hunter, cavalier, just coming in, no real defense on display for the most part, just letting his hands go, sweeping hooks. There were big right hands. There were some nice uppercuts that were finding the target. Yeah, it was good to see Michael Hunter back, except the shame was it was against this opponent. As we know, he walked away from an IBF final eliminator to take a deal with Triller. This was the first fight on it. There's at least one more fight on the deal. If I had to pay for it, I think I might have been a little bit unhappy, but this was a free event on Fight TV, so you can go back and watch that if you haven't caught the fight. I mean, it was what it was. It wasn't really that competitive. Mike Wilson didn't really have much on his punches. Hunter, he was unable to put a dent in Hunter at all. Whatever was landing was having no effect, and Michael Hunter walking through them just to get his own work away, which ultimately, I guess the thing I would say is that Mike Wilson, although we know that he was going to be fodder here for Michael Hunter, and he was durable. He took a lot of punishment in this fight. Michael Hunter was meting out a lot of punishment, and ultimately it just wore Mike Wilson down. So credit to Wilson for being game, and he was still letting his hands go. He just was having zero impact in this fight, and his chin kept him in it for 4 rounds. If he hadn't had a good chin, he would have been out of there in a couple. But yeah, I mean, it was what it was, and I guess the question now, well, what next for Michael Hunter? Because we don't want to see him in these sorts of fights again. He shouldn't be in these sorts of fights. He's a guy generally rated as a sort of top 10 heavyweight, but I think the reality is, I mean, Triller doesn't really have a lot of pull. They'd have to, really spend big to get a decent opponent. They're unlikely to do that. The other stables are unlikely to release big stars, anyone we would probably want to see Michael Hunter fight on another platform. So I think we're going to get more of the same. It's probably going to be another sort of Mike Wilson level opponent. Bearing in mind, this was a WBA final eliminator, so the next one could be as well. They will probably get someone ranked to fight him. And actually, someone pointed out in the rankings video that I did the other day, because Mark Demori entered the rankings, and I hadn't considered him as opponent for Michael Hunter just because Hunter was facing, obviously, Mike Wilson. So I hadn't really considered that. But subscriber AA Boxing and Blunts pointed out, well, maybe Demori is being brought in here for Hunter as the next guy. And obviously that happened before this Wilson fight occurred. So potentially that could be something that is bang on the money. And it would certainly fit the level of opponent here, which we could see again. I don't want to see it again. I mean, Michael Hunter's probably getting well paid for this in respect of the risk versus reward, probably loving it. Does nothing really, I don't think, for his standing in the heavyweight division. I don't think any of this gets him closer to a heavyweight title. He may get a little bit of buzz and maybe slightly more name recognition from having appeared on the Triller card that obviously had the sort of other portion of it, the entertainment side. But I'm not sure that these sorts of cards are really making anyone who's fighting on them stars or anything like that. I don't know. I just don't think we've seen anything of like that so far for any of the YouTuber type cards or anything similar that is anyone's gone on there and become a massive star as a result of it. So he was effectively the headliner for this new Tuesday series that Triller's going to be doing at Madison Square Garden at the Hulu Theatre. First Tuesday of every month. Maybe we'll see Hunter again soon in a month or two. Given he didn't really take too much punishment, you think maybe he would be good to roll in a month. But possibly in a couple of months, he might be headlining another card like this. And maybe Mark Demori will be the opponent. He's come into these rankings, but I would say it's going to be someone probably not that good. It'll be another soft opponent, and we're not going to like it, and we'll be questioning what's Hunter really doing? Where's his ambition? But I guess for his side of the coin, he'll be thinking, well, I'm getting well paid. I've got to look after myself. But also right now with the heavyweight titles tied up and other fighters, often it's very hard just in the general scheme of things to get meaningful fights made. He's not linked in with a big promoter right now. I guess he's looking after number one. And you can't blame him for that, but we don't have to like it either. Drop a comment loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.